Ambassador Vex walked slowly into the big white room on the space station. His blue skin felt cold under the bright lights. This was his 47th time meeting a new alien race, and he thought he knew what to expect. Most new species were scared or confused when they learned about the galaxy. Some cried. Some fainted. Some tried to run away. But these humans were different. The Earth people sat at the long silver table like they had done this many times before. The woman leading their group had short black hair and calm dark eyes. She wore a simple blue suit that looked very neat. Her name tag said Lee, in both human writing and galactic script. Next to her sat a tall man called June who was organizing papers and small computer tablets. His hands moved fast and sure as he put everything in perfect order. He looked excited, like a child getting ready to show off a favorite toy. The third human was a younger man named Min. He sat very straight in his chair and smiled at everyone. His smile was so big and friendly that it made Vex feel a little nervous. Why were they so happy? "Welcome to the galactic community," Vex said. His translator box made his words sound like human speech. The small machine beeped softly as it worked. "This is a very important day for your species." Lee nodded and smiled even bigger. "Thank you so much. We are very excited to meet you and all the other alien races. We have been waiting for this day for a long time," June added. He pulled out a thick folder full of papers. "We prepared many things to help you understand us better." Vex blinked his 3 purple eyes. Most species needed weeks of interviews and tests before they could join the Federation. The scientists had to study their biology, their culture, their technology. It usually took months to fill out all the forms. "You prepared things?" Vex asked slowly. "Oh yes," Min said, bouncing a little in his chair. "We made a complete guide about humans. We call it our starter kit." June opened the thick folder and pulled out what looked like a small book. But when he put it on the table, Vex could see it was actually a computer tablet that held thousands of pages of information. "This has everything," Lee explained. "Our biology, our psychology, our history, our culture. We even added pictures and videos to make it more interesting." Vex felt confused. In all his years of first contact work, no species had ever been this prepared. Most aliens could barely understand that other intelligent life existed. These humans acted like they had been planning for this meeting their whole lives. "This is very unusual," Vex said carefully. "Most species need help organizing their information for our database." "Oh, we love organizing things," June said happily. "We have been thinking about meeting aliens for hundreds of years. We wrote books about it, made movies about it, and even practiced what we would say." "You practiced?" Vex asked. "Sure," Min replied. "We have been imagining this conversation since we were children. Every human child thinks about meeting aliens someday." Lee pushed the tablet toward Vex. "We hope this makes everything easier for you. We know you probably meet lots of new species, so we tried to make our information very clear and complete." Vex picked up the tablet with his long thin fingers. It was heavier than he expected. The screen showed a table of contents with hundreds of different topics. He could see sections about human biology, human behavior, human history, human technology, and many other things. "This is quite comprehensive," Vex said, trying to sound professional. Inside he felt amazed. The humans had done more work in preparing for first contact than some species did in their entire membership application process. "We also have extra materials if you need them," June offered. "We have regional guides for different parts of Earth, historical documents, and cultural analysis reports." "Regional guides?" Vex asked. "Different parts of Earth have different types of humans," Lee explained. "Some are very different from others. We thought you might want to know about the variations." Min leaned forward with that big smile again. "We have Americans, Europeans, Asians, Africans, Australians, and many others. They all have different cultures and ways of doing things. And some are more interesting than others," June added with a little laugh. Vex felt his stomach twist slightly. Something in the way June said interesting made him nervous. But he pushed the feeling away. These humans seemed very nice and helpful. "We will review your materials carefully," Vex said, standing up from his chair. "Our science team will study your biology and culture. Then we will contact you about the next steps for joining the Federation." "How long will that take?" Lee asked. "Usually several months," Vex replied. "Sometimes longer if there are complications." The 3 humans looked at each other and smiled. "No rush," Min said cheerfully. "We have waited this long. We can wait a little more. Besides," June added, "we are still working on the advanced materials. We have so much more to share with you." As Vex walked toward the door, he felt pleased with how well the meeting had gone. Finally, he had found a species that understood how to work with galactic bureaucracy. These humans would make excellent Federation members. Behind him, he could hear the humans talking quietly among themselves. "Do you think we should have mentioned the Florida section?" Min whispered. "Maybe we should wait," Lee replied softly. "Let them read the basic information first." "Good idea," June agreed. "We don't want to overwhelm them right away." Vex smiled to himself as the door closed behind him. Such considerate aliens. What could possibly go wrong? Dr. Wood sat at his desk with a cup of hot green tea steaming beside his computer. The morning sun shone through the big windows of the Federation Science Building. He felt good today. Reading about new species was his favorite part of the job. His team was already waiting for him. Na sat in the chair by the window, her purple skin looking bright in the sunlight. She worked in the files department and knew everything about how to organize alien information. Tay stood near the big screen on the wall, his 6 arms ready to take notes. He studied how different species behaved. "Let us see what our new human friends are like," Wood said happily. He opened the thick computer file that Ambassador Vex had brought from the meeting. The first page looked very normal. It had a picture of a human and basic information. Height, weight, how long they live, what they eat. Everything seemed regular and boring. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, Na read out loud. "They breathe oxygen and drink water. Very standard. They live about 70 to 80 years, Tay added. Nothing unusual there." Wood scrolled down to the next section. Here we go. Physical abilities. The first sentence made him stop drinking his tea. "Humans can run for very long distances without stopping," Wood read slowly. "They use something called persistence hunting. They follow animals until the animals get too tired to run anymore. Then they catch them." Na shifted in her chair. "That means they just never give up?" "It says here that humans can track one animal for many days," Tay said, reading from his own screen. "The animal gets tired and scared, but the human just keeps following it. The human walks and walks until the animal falls down from being too tired." Wood felt a small chill run down his back. That sounded less like hunting and more like something from a scary movie. He kept reading. "Sleep requirements. Oh my. What does it say?" Na asked. "Humans only need 4 hours of sleep each night. Some humans can stay awake for more than a week and still fight effectively." Wood put down his teacup. "Fight effectively? Why would they be fighting?" The file continued with more strange information. Humans could eat things that were poisonous to other species. They could live in places that were too hot, too cold, or too dangerous for most life forms. They seemed to enjoy being in uncomfortable situations. "Look at this part about their pets," Tay said, his voice getting higher. "Humans keep dangerous animals in their homes. They have creatures with sharp teeth and claws living with their children." Na leaned forward to read. "It says humans think dangerous animals are cute and cuddly. They let these animals sleep in their beds. That makes no sense," Wood muttered. "Why would they bring predators into their homes?" The answer came in the next paragraph. Humans did not just live with dangerous animals. They made friends with them. They trained wild wolves to live with them thousands of years ago. They kept big cats, poisonous snakes, and animals that could kill them with one bite. And they did it for fun. "Here is a section about their entertainment," Na said, her voice shaking slightly. "Humans enjoy watching other humans fight. They call it sports." The file showed pictures of humans hitting each other, running into each other, and throwing each other around. The crowds watching these fights looked happy and excited. "They also like to watch humans compete in dangerous activities," Tay read. "Jumping from high places, racing very fast vehicles, and doing things that could kill them." Wood scrolled through more pages. Each section was worse than the last. Humans seemed to actively look for ways to put themselves in danger. They climbed tall mountains where the air was too thin to breathe. They went swimming with animals that had rows of sharp teeth. They jumped out of flying machines for entertainment. "Wait," Na said suddenly. "Go back to that section about their homes." Wood found the page about where humans lived. His 3 eyes grew wide as he read. "Humans choose to live in places where natural disasters happen regularly," he read out loud. "They build houses in areas with earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, and volcanoes. When these disasters happen, most humans do not leave. They rebuild in the same dangerous place." "Why?" Tay whispered. The file explained that humans like challenges. They enjoyed proving they could survive in difficult conditions. Some humans even moved to more dangerous places on purpose. "Look at this," Na said, pointing to her screen. "There is a whole section about something called extreme weather enthusiasts. These humans travel around looking for the worst storms they can find. Then they drive cars into the storms to get closer. with felt sick to his stomach. These humans were not the friendly, normal species he had expected. They were something else entirely. The file went on for thousands more pages. Each section revealed new and terrifying information about human behavior. They kept explosives in their homes for celebrations. They created games that involved throwing sharp objects at each other. They competed to see who could eat the most food or stay awake the longest. By lunchtime, With had called for more scientists to help read the file. By evening, they had requested emergency funding for extra security measures. "I need to contact the council immediately," With said as he closed the file. His hands were shaking. The humans had seemed so nice and helpful during first contact. But their own documentation painted a picture of the most dangerous species the Federation had ever encountered. And the worst part was that they seemed completely unaware of how terrifying they were. Dr. Kex sat in her quiet office, far away from the busy science building where Dr. With and his team were still reading about human bodies. She was the Federation's best expert on how alien minds worked. Her job was to understand why different species thought and acted the way they did. Her assistant Hoon brought her the sections about human psychology. He looked worried as he set the thick files on her desk. "The biology team sent these over," Hoon said quietly. "They said you need to read the parts about human thinking patterns." They seemed very upset. Kex opened the first file. It was titled Human Motivational Systems. She had read similar reports about hundreds of species. Usually they were simple. Most aliens wanted food, safety, and comfort. Some wanted power or knowledge. But humans seemed to have something different. "What is this word here?" Kex asked, pointing to a term she had never seen before. "It says spite," Hoon replied, reading over her shoulder. Kex found the definition and began to read out loud. "Spite is a human emotional state where a person will do impossible things just to prove other people wrong. When someone tells a human they cannot do something, the human becomes more determined to do it." She kept reading and her voice grew quieter. "Humans powered by spite have lifted objects 10 times their body weight. They have survived in conditions that should kill them. They have learned new skills overnight just because someone said they were too stupid or too weak." Hoon made a nervous sound. "That does not sound normal." The file had many examples. Humans who were told they would never walk again had learned to run marathons. Humans who were told they were too poor to succeed had built giant companies. Humans who were told they were too old to learn had become experts in new subjects. "The report warns us to never tell a human that something is impossible," Kex continued. "It says this will only make them want to do it more." Her assistant Yoon came into the office with another stack of papers. She looked pale and frightened. "Dr. Kex," Yoon said in a shaky voice, "you need to see this section about human bonding behavior." Kex took the new files. The first page made her stomach feel cold. "Humans will form emotional attachments to almost anything," she read. "They bond with animals, plants, objects, and even artificial intelligence systems. They give names and personalities to their vehicles, their weapons, and their tools." The examples were disturbing. Humans had made friends with killer robots in their entertainment programs. They adopted wild animals that could eat them. They kept plants in their homes and talked to them every day. "But this is the strangest part," Yoon said, pointing to a highlighted section. "Humans will risk their lives to save things they have bonded with. They will run into burning buildings to save their pets. They will fight giant monsters to protect their friends. They will die for things that most species would abandon without thinking." Kex flipped through more pages. Each one revealed new and frightening information about human psychology. Humans had something called competitive spirit. They would turn anything into a competition. Who could eat the most food? Who could stay awake the longest? Who could survive in the most dangerous place? They seemed to think that winning these competitions was more important than staying alive. "Look at this section about their entertainment," Hoon said, reading from his own copy. "Humans create stories about surviving terrible situations. Their most popular books and movies are about disasters, wars, and monsters. They seem to enjoy being scared." The psychological profile got worse. Humans had a concept called "hold my beer," which meant they were about to do something incredibly dangerous for no good reason. The phrase was a warning that a human was about to attempt something that would probably hurt them. "Here is something called Murphy's Law," Yoon read. "Humans believe that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. But instead of avoiding dangerous situations, they prepare for everything to go wrong and do the dangerous things anyway." Kex found a section about human problem solving that made her feel dizzy. Humans did not just solve problems. They oversolved them. If they needed to cut something, they would build a machine that could cut through anything. If they needed to go somewhere, they would build vehicles that could go anywhere, even places where no one should ever go. They have something called overkill, Keck said, reading the definition. This means using much more force or effort than necessary to solve a problem. Humans seem to think this is funny. The report included examples of human overkill. Using explosives to remove tree stumps. Building rockets to deliver pizza. Creating weapons that could destroy entire planets just to make sure their enemies could not fight back. But the most disturbing section was about human regional variations. The file mentioned that different parts of Earth produced different types of humans, each with their own special abilities and thought patterns. What is this place called Florida? Hoon asked, pointing to a section marked with warning symbols. Kex read the description and felt her blood turn cold. Florida was apparently a region of Earth that seemed designed to create the most unpredictable humans possible. Florida humans were known for doing things that made no sense to anyone, including other humans. The report says we should avoid contact with Florida humans until we develop better safety protocols, Kex whispered. By the end of the day, Kex had filled out an emergency report to the Federation Council. Her conclusion was simple but terrifying. Humans were not just dangerous because of their bodies. Their minds were even more frightening than their physical abilities. They were a species that refused to accept limitations, made friends with anything and thought dangerous situations were entertaining. And they were asking to join the Federation. The great round room was full of worried voices. 47 different alien species had come to the Federation building in a hurry. Emergency meetings were rare, and everyone knew something very bad must have happened. Council leader Mech stood at the center of the room. His tall gray body looked tired and his usually calm face showed fear. Around him, representatives from across the galaxy whispered to each other in dozens of different languages. "Order, please," Mech called out, his voice echoing through the large space. "We are here to discuss the human situation." You, the representative from Altair, stood up quickly. Her crystal body made musical sounds when she moved, but today the notes sounded sharp and angry. "The reports from our science teams are very disturbing," you announced. "These humans are not what they appeared to be during first contact." She held up a data pad that glowed with red warning symbols. Dr. Witt's biology team has discovered that humans are natural-born killers. They hunt other animals by following them until the prey dies from exhaustion. A wave of frightened sounds filled the room. Many species made clicking, whistling, or humming noises when they were scared. Sand, the delegate from Rigel, raised one of his forearms. His blue skin had turned pale. "That is not the worst part," he said in a shaking voice. Dr. Kex's psychology team found something even more terrible. San activated the big screen at the front of the room. Words and pictures appeared that made many representatives step backward. "Humans have something called Florida," San continued. "It appears to be a region on their planet that creates the most dangerous humans possible." The screen showed pictures of humans wrestling with large reptiles, humans running toward dangerous storms, and humans doing things that made no logical sense. Each picture was labeled Florida Man or Florida Woman. According to their own documentation, San read, Florida humans regularly fight apex predators with their bare hands. They survive disasters that should kill them. They perform acts that other humans consider impossible or insane. Bo, the representative from Vega, stood up. His plant-like body was shaking, and his leaves had turned from green to yellow with fear. "There is more," he said. "The humans have stores where they sell military weapons to regular citizens. They call these places sporting goods stores." The room erupted in panicked sounds. Representatives turned to each other with wide eyes and open mouths. "They sell weapons for fun?" asked Jean, the delegate from Centauri. Her voice was so high it was almost a squeak. "Worse," Bo replied. "The report says humans collect these weapons as hobbies. They have competitions to see who can use them best. They teach their children how to use them from a young age." Mech tried to restore order, but more disturbing information kept coming. "I have the cultural analysis report," announced So, the Andromedan representative. His tentacles waved nervously as he spoke. "Humans have something called extreme sports. These are activities where they deliberately put themselves in mortal danger for entertainment." The screen changed to show humans jumping off cliffs with fabric wings, humans riding down mountains on small boards, and humans throwing themselves from perfectly good flying vehicles with only a piece of cloth to slow their fall. "They do this for fun," So explained. "Their own report says that humans become bored if their lives are not dangerous enough. So they create artificial dangers to make themselves happy." The room fell silent except for the sound of scared breathing and nervous clicking. One, the representative from Procyon, slowly stood up. His insect-like body buzzed with anxiety. I have been reading their entertainment records, he said quietly. Their most popular stories are about surviving terrible disasters, fighting monsters and winning impossible wars. What does that mean? Asked several voices at once. It means they practice for catastrophe, one replied. Every human child grows up learning how to survive when everything goes wrong. They call it disaster preparedness, but their definition of disaster includes things like alien invasions, zombie apocalypses, and the end of the world. The silence that followed was broken by a soft chime. Mech looked at his communication device and his face grew even more worried. What is it? You asked. The humans have sent us another message, Mech announced. They say they forgot to include some important sections in their starter kit. He activated his device and a cheerful human voice filled the room. It was Lee, the diplomat from the first contact meeting. Hi everyone. Lee's voice was happy and friendly. We realized we left out some really important stuff from our guide. We're sending you information about energy drinks, competitive eating, and something called jackass stunts. Oh, and we included some videos of our local wildlife. We thought you might want to see what we deal with on a daily basis. Hope this helps. The message ended with the sound of humans laughing in the background. The council chamber was completely quiet for a full minute. Then Bo fainted. His plant body fell over with a soft thud. Are we seriously considering letting these creatures join our peaceful federation? Whispered Jean. Mech looked around the room at all the frightened faces. Representatives who had survived wars, natural disasters, and first contact with dozens of dangerous species all looked terrified by a single planet full of humans. I think, Mech said slowly, we need to reconsider our approach to this situation. But before anyone could respond, another message arrived. This time it was from the human called June. Also, June's voice said cheerfully, should we include the advanced guide? It has sections on military history and disaster survival. We have some really cool stories about impossible victories and last-minute rescues. The council voted unanimously to postpone all decisions about humanity indefinitely. Ambassador Vex walked back and forth in his private office. His 3 hearts were beating so fast he thought they might burst. Messages were coming in every few minutes from scared Federation officials. His communication device never stopped making noise. The door opened and his assistant Mi rushed in. Her green skin looked pale, and her hands were shaking as she carried another stack of reports. Sir, Mi said in a worried voice, the humans have sent us more information. Vex stopped walking and stared at her. More information? What could they possibly add that would make this situation worse? Mi held up a data pad with trembling fingers. This one is called Human Hobbies and Recreational Activities. It has subsections about something called Mythbusters, Jackass Stunts, and Australian Wildlife Tourism. Vex felt dizzy. He sat down heavily in his chair and rubbed his face with his long thin hands. Read it to me. I need to know how bad this is. Mi opened the file and began to read. Mythbusters. A popular human entertainment program where humans test dangerous theories using explosives, vehicles, and various weapons. The goal is to prove or disprove urban legends by recreating them in the most spectacular way possible. They use explosives for entertainment? Vex whispered. It gets worse, sir. Jackass stunts. A form of human entertainment where individuals perform dangerous, painful, or stupid acts for the amusement of others. Common activities include being shot from cannons, wrestling wild animals, and setting themselves on fire. Vex put his head in his hands. Setting themselves on fire. For fun. And Australian wildlife tourism, Mi continued, her voice getting higher. Humans travel to a continent on their planet specifically because everything there is trying to kill them. They consider this relaxing. Before Vex could respond, his communication device chimed with another message. He looked at the screen and saw it was from June, one of the human diplomats. Hello again. June's cheerful voice filled the room. We just wanted to add some important human sayings to help you understand our culture better. Vex and Mi looked at each other with growing fear. June's voice continued happily. Popular human phrases include, hold my beer and watch this, which means someone is about to do something incredibly dangerous. What could go wrong? Which humans say right before everything goes wrong. And, it seemed like a good idea at the time, which they say afterward to explain why they did something stupid. The message paused and they could hear humans laughing in the background. Oh, and we almost forgot, June added, humans have something called Darwin Awards. These are prizes given to humans who remove themselves from the gene pool in particularly creative ways. We think it's hilarious. The message ended with more human laughter. Vex stared at the communication device in horror. They give awards to their own species for dying in stupid ways. And they think it's funny. Me made a small whimpering sound. Sir, there's more. They want to know if we would like the advanced guide. Advanced guide? Vex asked weakly. It includes sections on military history, disaster preparedness, and something called MacGyver protocols. Me read from her notes. They say the MacGyver section explains how humans can make weapons and tools from ordinary household items. Vex tried to imagine what kinds of weapons humans could make from regular objects, then decided he did not want to know. His communication device chimed again. This time it was a message from Lee, the lead human diplomat. Hi there. Lee's voice was as friendly as always. We just realized something important. You might be wondering why we made such a detailed guide about all the scary things humans can do. Vex and me leaned forward to listen. Well, Lee continued, it's actually pretty simple. We figured that when we meet aliens who are scarier and more dangerous than us, you would want to know what kind of allies you're getting. There was a pause, then Lee's voice became even more excited. We're really looking forward to meeting species that could totally kick our butts. It'll be so cool to find aliens who are tougher and more dangerous than humans. We can't wait to make friends with creatures that could destroy us without even trying. The message ended with Lee saying cheerfully, "Thanks for being so patient with us beginners." Vex and me sat in complete silence for a long minute. Finally me spoke in a tiny voice. Sir, I think we may have misunderstood the situation. Vex nodded slowly. The humans think they are the weak ones. They made this guide because they expect to meet species that are more dangerous than they are. But sir, me said, we've been in space for thousands of years. We've met hundreds of species. Nothing we've ever encountered is as terrifying as what they describe in their own documentation. Vex began typing his resignation letter, then stopped. He realized something important. If the humans thought other aliens were scarier than them, and if they were excited about making friends with those terrifying aliens, then perhaps the Federation's best strategy was to never let them know the truth. Instead, he sent a message to the Federation Council. Recommend immediate acceptance of human membership application. Reason: it is safer to have them as friends than to risk having them as enemies. 3 days later, Earth was officially welcomed into the Federation with full membership privileges. The Human Starter Kit was classified as a galactic security document, and all copies were locked in the Federation's most secure vault. Earth received the official designation, Friendly Species. Approach with extreme caution. Under no circumstances should they be informed that they are the most dangerous beings in the known galaxy. The humans were delighted with their acceptance and immediately began planning cultural exchange programs with their new alien friends. The rest of the galaxy quietly began updating their defense systems.